I've discussed what the Vikings should take 25th overall in the draft. I've discussed players they should re-sign, in-house signings, and I've discussed positions they need to improve on for the next season. And now I'm going to talk contract extension. So players that usually when you do a contract extension, it's for the future. It's players that you know are going to be there for the long term, and players that have just 1 year left on their contract and they'll be an unrestricted free agent. So I don't have Fadio Denebo on this list because he's going to be a restricted free agent after the year. So they have another year to pay him bare minimum, and then they'll get him his payment after that because he has a long career ahead of him. But anyways, so I also don't have Mike Zimmers on this list because they just did extend him for another year. Rick Spielman got him for another year, which I think was a great idea. I know a lot of people were not very happy about that, but I thought it was a great idea because next year is the year you need to go all in, and then after that, you need to, if you don't make it to at least the conference championship, to really refresh. And when you restart a team, you want to get a new head coach, new quarterback, and other pieces around the quarterback. So that's why I wouldn't extend any players at all this offseason, especially the players that you can replace. So, and right now I'm Dalvin Cook. So he has 1 year left on his 1 year left on his contract, and then he's going to be a unrestricted free agent, and he's eligible for a re-sign, a new contract, and he was the core of the Vikings team this year, especially in the play action game. Made a huge impact. 7-1 on the season when he went for 90 or more yards, which is insane because this Minnesota Vikings offensive line is not very good, doesn't open up a lane, but CJ Ham was huge in this. A lot of the play action passes. Big core of this team, probably the MVP of this team this year. 4.5 yards a carry and 9 and 8 yards after the catch, which is insane. That's so useful for this team. I mean, because Kirk Cousins doesn't have all the time in the world to throw, so just a little check down passes to Cook, and he would just run, get first downs. Great calls. I love this player, and I love him on the team. However, he gets injured a lot. All 3 of his seasons missing games with injuries. Last season only missing 2, which was huge. The 2 seasons before that, he missed most of the season with injuries. And last season, one thing I learned is that Cook isn't our only running back. I mean, Mike Boone came in and performed very well against the Chargers, destroyed the defense, which is an okay defense. I mean, they have Joey Bosa, one of the best defensive ends in the league. But Mike Boone looked very well. Mike Boone on like any other team would be a backup running back. Here, he's like the 4th string. I mean, I don't think they're going to take Amir Abdullah back, and Cook obviously will play. And then they have Alexander Madison, who just had his rookie debut and looked better than Todd Gurley and Ezekiel Elliott this year. So that player, I think, if this Minnesota Vikings team does bad next year, could be a solid running back. He'd be our number 1 running back if they do bad and they have to kind of reset. But he's surprised me. 3rd round draft pick, great pick. I think he was the Minnesota Vikings rookie of the year. Him and Irv Smith really performed, and I think both those players have a huge career ahead of them. Garrett Bradbury, I haven't seen enough of him, but he definitely is built like a player that could have a promising career. So that's on Dalvin Cook. I wouldn't take him back, or no, I wouldn't give him a contract extension if he does very well this year, doesn't get injured a lot, and the Vikings make it to at least the conference championship, that's like a big statement because that's pretty hard in the NFC with all these teams. But then I'd take him back. Same with this next player, which I think is the only other player that has a chance of getting a contract extension. Kirk Cousins, quarterback. Was 4th in passer rating, which is great. I mean, $84 million, you'd expect 4th in passer rating at least. But aside from that, 69.1% completion percentage. That's all right. 8.1 yards a pass. That's pretty good. Now, I think so. Kirk Cousins just had his best season of his career, and looked great in most of his games. And this receiving core, I think, will only be better next year. Running a lot of 2 tight end sets with Kyle Rudolph having his best season of his career, Irv Smith Jr. having a great career ahead of him, and then obviously Diggs and Thielen, the deep threats can do anything. You can use them in any way. And then BC, you can throw them inside the slot. So this receiving core is insane. And then also using Cook for the checkdowns. When the offensive line is bad, just doing the check down to Cook and using Kyle Rudolph and Irv Smith to block for him. Give him a long path to run. I don't know how you can stop this offense next year. I mean, if they beef up the offensive line and make them even better, I don't know how you can stop this offense. And that's one thing. That's the reason why I'm kind of optimistic about next season is them going pretty far. But I'm not very optimistic about the defense next year, aside from a few players like Danielle Hunter and Eric Hendricks and players are going to perform, and Harrison Smith. But anyways, 58.4 in QBR. Now that's not horrible, but for a $84 million. It's okay though. Like, it's all right. Like, I'm okay with that because you don't need a standout quarterback right now. I mean, if he doesn't play very well this year, if they only go to like one and done in the playoffs again, then it's just like, then I guess you have to move on from him. I'd take a player to really push his potential. I talked about this in my last couple videos. You got to take a player to play him for his job, put a chip on his shoulder so he has to perform. And if he doesn't, if he plays bad, bench him and have a player that can come out and has had the starting position before, or even maybe a Jalen Hurts in the draft, like someone who can at least do something, because Sean Mannion won't. So no, don't bench Kirk Cousins though. Just give him something. Just give him someone to play him for his job. Only bench Kirk Cousins if you can't even make the playoffs. But he is $84 million quarterback. You have to use him. So I don't know. I feel like he's going to have even a better season than he just had, which was his best season of his career, because the receiving core is just improving and improving. These players are getting better. I mean, Kyle Rudolph is, I don't know how he can get better. So, and same with Diggs and Thielen, but Irv Smith and BC are definitely improving. Dalvin Cook, if he doesn't get injured, can play a lot better. And really, I'm kind of optimistic about this next season, but that's what being a Vikings fan is. You're optimistic, you get let down all the time. So I don't know. Let me know if you think they should give a contract extension to Cook or Cousins or both players. So I don't think so. I'd say wait till after the season and then either let them both go or re-sign them both. I don't know. Well, we have to see how this season's going to shape out. If they let them both go, they'll have to let Zimmers go too and go for a whole reset on the team and probably take a quarterback in the first round next year. So let me know if you think they should give a contract extension to these players, if you think they should, or what I just said, let them wait out until next season. Oh, till next time.